I want people to know that our story is up and coming.
South Sudan has a team chock full of terrific athletes.
The way we're rallying around this and going to the World Cup is bigger than basketball because unity is important, and it's our first thing to actually put South Sudan in the map.
Luol Deng could have very easily hung up his sneakers after 15 NBA seasons and been a hero. He won at life a long time ago. He escaped abject poverty and a civil war to make the NBA and earn $166 million. He's a man who already built one of the most inspiring and remarkable life stories you'll ever hear, but it wasn't enough. To say Luol's early life was hard would be the understatement of the century. He and his 8 siblings were born in what is now South Sudan, but it wasn't called that. South Sudan is actually the world's youngest country at 13 years old. Back then, it was just one Sudan being ravaged by a civil war. Seeking refuge, Luol's family fled to Egypt before eventually ending up in the UK. This is where Luol found basketball. He was a natural athlete, and his family recognized the potential. They had absolutely nothing and spoke no English, but they could see the passion and talent. He joined a basketball club where he practiced under a coach named Jimmy Rogers. To give you an idea of how passionate and committed Luol was, I'll let Jimmy tell a quick story.
And he told everyone about the day he came late and Jimmy offered to buy his ticket for the month, and he said no. He ran from South Norwood to Bishop Thomas Grant 4 miles and back every day with a 20-pound weighted jacket on his. Wow. You know, I've suggested to some of our older kids running from home, and they look at me like I'm mental.
The hard work paid off. A few years later, Luol was offered the opportunity of a lifetime, but it came with a heavy price. He was offered a scholarship to a private school in the US. Accepting it meant leaving his family and everyone he knew and moving to a new country at just 14 years old. It was extremely difficult, but the right move. Luol dominated and caught the attention of top college programs. He was the second-ranked prospect behind LeBron and chose to play under Coach K at Duke. Eventually, he was drafted 7th overall and became one of the greatest African NBA players of all time, but you wouldn't really know it by the way he was treated on his way out. Luol was a 2-time All-Star in his prime, but something odd happened in 2016. The salary cap exploded, and mid-level free agents signed shocking deals. Luol was joined by guys like Timofey Mozgov, Chandler Parsons, and Evan Turner, who were all unable to live up to their massive deals. It was sad to see him go out as a meme. The internet was flooded with pages emphasizing his contract struggles. Most of it came from Lakers fans. Luol Deng played in 1 game this season. He scored 2 points and tallied 1 assist, but he still got paid $17.2 million this season. Most expensive mentor ever. Oh look, a pile of trash and some recyclable stuff. The Lakers knew how damaging the contract was, and they made the rare move to stretch it. Essentially, it means you still pay the same value, but you add years and pay less per year. Now, despite retiring after 15 seasons in 2019, Luol was still getting paid and the memes are still rolling. Here's a post from 2021, 2 seasons after his retirement. Highest paid Lakers contracts for the 21-22 NBA season as of now. Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Luol Deng. Everyone had a nice laugh at Luol's expense, but he never said a word because behind the scenes, he had a much bigger plan.
You thought this was going to be the quote-unquote easy game in the pool play, and that is obviously not going to be the case. South Sudan has a team chock full of terrific athletes.
The transition from playing professionally to retirement is often a challenge for athletes, but not for Luol. Instead, he treated it as an opportunity to look within and devote himself to his country. Immediately after retiring, he became the president of the South Sudan Basketball Federation. This new role was more than just a title, it was a calling. Luol saw the potential not just for his athletes to succeed, but to unite the South Sudanese people. He could use basketball as a vehicle to inspire his people who were still recovering from that brutal civil war. Luol talked to ESPN and put it like this: I retired and I always did my basketball camps. I know a lot of players from South Sudan, and I knew that we could make it something special. I want to help the growth of the game, but I want to use basketball to change the narrative and the stories of South Sudan, but also find a way to bring communities along and for everyone to get something inspirational behind it. Taking on the role was no small job, but Luol had a secret weapon. Not only had he earned $166 million in the NBA, but he built a network stemming from his days at Duke. He made friends with one of his classmates who just so happened to be the daughter of JP Morgan CEO, Jamie Dimon. Dimon later introduced Luol to Don Pebbles, a real estate mogul who became a mentor and helped Luol build a real estate portfolio that is now worth over $125 million. Luol wasn't just committed to the South Sudan program, he was liquid and ready to put his money where his mouth was. In 2021, Luol named former NBA player Royal Ivey as South Sudan's head coach. Ivey was quoted saying, "Luol Deng has been funding this thing for 4 years out of his own pocket. He pays for gyms, hotels, plane tickets, everything. Kudos to Luol and the staff, we wouldn't have been able to put this team together without them." This was not a minor contribution. Luol has poured and continues to pour millions of dollars from his personal savings directly into the program, and it's even more than Ivey mentioned. There's huge financial demands like organizing camps, getting into international tournaments, and perhaps biggest of all, infrastructure. There are a grand total of 0 indoor basketball courts in South Sudan, but Luol's foundation is building new courts every year. Beyond the finances, Luol spends thousands of hours on the ground every year mentoring players and overseeing the development of the program. He's every bit as committed as the kid who used to run to practice in London. Here he is speaking on the future at the 4-year anniversary of his Minute Bowl court.
I keep saying this for South Sudan and the country. Just know that the youth are coming. We are coming. And we are going to push for a better country no matter what, because we believe in each other and we know we're going to be a better nation, and we have to keep pushing for it.
South Sudan basketball has burst on the scene. The rapid success has even surprised Luol. He told Sports Illustrated, "Honestly, I didn't think we would get here this quickly. It's kind of insane." In a short time, they've leaped from relative obscurity to a competitive force who only lost by a single point to the USA in a scrimmage. The world of basketball was stunned as it took a game winner from LeBron for the US to win, but a week later was the real deal. It was the first group game, and South Sudan made history by securing their first ever Olympic win over Puerto Rico. The vision is far from complete, but Luol isn't changing course. You'll notice a few high-profile players aren't on the roster. There's no Bol or other South Sudanese NBA players like Thon Maker or Ater Mayak. Luol's response to this has always been consistent and simple. He said, "Anytime any player calls me and says, 'I want to play for another country,' I say, 'Go ahead.' What makes us so good is that each player wants to play. I'd rather take someone who really wants to do it." Luol's transition from meme to hero has been as profound as it's been rapid. He's leveraged his own time and bank account to breathe inspiration back into his homeland. There's still much more room to grow, but when it's all said and done, his legacy won't be his all-star playing career, it'll be his impact off the court. He'll be the guy who took it upon himself to shape the future of an entire nation through the power of basketball.